All right, I'd like to call the Town of Cedar Lake Plan Commission, June 21st, 2023, public meeting to order, please. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Mr. Hunley?
Here.
Ms. Dessauer is absent. Mr. Sharp?
Present.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Capora?
Present.
Mr. Deutmeyer?
Here.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Ostrian is absent. Ms. Abernathy? Present. Ms. Hyduk is present.
Okay. Minutes. April 19, 2023, public meeting, May 3rd, 2023, work session, and May 17, 2023, public meeting. These were distributed to the commissioners. Do we have any discussion, corrections, or comments?
Left from right, sir.
If nothing, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion made by Mr. Hundley. Second. Seconded by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Number one, Yonks Way lease sub, two-lot subdivision. Owner petitioner, L&L Capital Assets, LLC, P.O. Box 2010, Cedar Lake, Indiana, vicinity of 13310 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for a two-lot subdivision. Hi, Jack.
Hello, Jack Hulls from DBG, representing the petitioner this evening. Eric with L&L is also in the room. We are requesting a re-subdivision of this one-lot subdivision known as Yonks Way into a two-lot subdivision. We were in front of you for the work study session and discussed the various conditions of that, one of which was there was various BZA items that needed to be attended to. We were at the BZA meeting the following day after that work study and received favorable recommendations or favorable motions on those petitions. So that was, if you want me to list those, I can, or at least go into the record or not. So I'll let you guys do it if you want it. We are seeking a two-lot subdivision on this property. I think it fits with the area. There's been lots of conversation about this over the last 3-4 months, and so this is kind of where we all landed, so.
Okay. Are all legals in order?
They are.
Okay, I missed that to start with. Yeah, I think we hashed this one out pretty good from previous work sessions and public meetings and then at the BZA and that, so does town engineer have any comments? Don?
We issued a letter on the 18th recommending approval based on a couple contingencies, 2 waivers specifically for stormwater detention and for park dedication. We actually removed the waiver for tree placement. We think that's probably valid to do on those lots. They're pretty bushy and treed right now, so I think they should be replaced. Then the other 3 is just preliminary plat approvals contingent on the variance, and then there will be a letter of credit required at final plat, and then we have some tweaks just on the existing zoning shown on the plat. That's ministerial.
So we'll make contingency on Don's letter?
On the letter dated June 18th.
Dated what?
June 18th.
And we, in response to that letter, well, in between the 2 letters, we did fix the things, and we also did get review comments from staff and from the fire department regarding addressing and street names and stuff like that. So we made those corrections also.
But there's still a couple items left.
Yeah, so I don't think that there's any contingencies
Minor ones.
that are, it's more, there's waivers that we need along with the motion for approval for the park dedication for the,
And detention.
Okay. Building department.
Jack is right, they did receive all variances needed for both lots 1 and 2 at the BZA on the June 8th meeting. Additionally, Chief Bill and I sat down and had an extensive conversation about the addressing and layout of the roads for this plat to make it the best way possible for public safety. Jack has taken that and put that on the plat. At this point in time, I have no additional comments regarding this item.
Okay. Can you have a seat a minute, Jack?
Yep.
For remonstrators. Do we have any remonstrators for or against this request? Any remonstrators?
Anyone online?
There wasn't, I'll double check. Nobody online?
None?
None online, sir.
Okay, public portion is closed. You come back up, Jack. Do the commissioners have any comments or discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, for Don. Don, the note in here regarding performance letter of credit, is that because they're not living in it? Because we don't do that for people that build houses, right? That live, or do we?
Well, they're going to be, kind of as part of this, they've agreed to install curb and gutter around the entire frontage.
So that's what that's for?
And also sidewalk.
So that's kind of what it's for?
Yeah, it's debatable if we're gonna include the sidewalk in that letter of credit, because single lots typically just part of the actual building and site plan permit process.
Gotcha.
The curb and gutter and drainage would be a part of it. That would be a larger public improvement.
Okay, that was all. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay.
And it's improved, it was, going to be 4 units, and now it's down to 2, which.
That's two separate houses.
Yeah,
Two separate lots, separate houses, right?
and where it was gonna be 4 units.
Right, it was, yeah, it's a great improvement, I think.
Yeah.
I think everybody thinks that, yeah. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion on this. And, in that motion, let's include Don's letter of 6/18/23.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the 2023-07 Yonks Way resub 2-lot subdivision for preliminary plat and contingent upon the June 18th, 2023 letter from Christopher Burke Engineering.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Foreman. Second? Second. Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes?
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes, motion carries 6-0.
Wonderful, thank you very much. We intend to submit the final plat in July for your August meetings, at which time we'll begin to work out that letter of credit item with the town engineer. So we'll see you in a couple months.
Okay, sounds good, Jim. I'm not a geek.
I could never use it either.
So I got paper. I just sort of looked into it. Thank you. Now I can't find, I don't know. Okay, well, because it doesn't have any name on it. I need to be guided. Okay, item number 2, NYBY Development Corp. preliminary plat for a 1-lot subdivision and site plan. Continued public hearing. Owner petitioner, NYBY Development Corp., 1370 Dune Meadows Drive, Porter, Indiana. Vicinity of 9710 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for a 1-lot subdivision and a site plan, and we will take those separately.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nathan Biss on behalf of the petitioner here this evening, as you indicate, seeking both a preliminary plat for 1-lot subdivision and approval for site plan. project has not changed since we have been in communication in study session, public session. The last few months, from my understanding, Mr. Oliphant has approved everything from an engineering standpoint. I believe everything is passed at the building commission level as well. There were some good concerns raised by Mr. Parker at the last meeting, and that was whether or not there was a willingness on behalf of my client to commit to a use commitment, and that, from what I understood, dealt with the overnight use of the space. I have prepared, and I shared it with Ms. Abernathy as well as with Mr. Austin's office, that proposed use commitment. And in a nutshell, what that references and my client commits to is that they would not store vehicles outside, overnight, outside the proposed structure that are being worked on. But there is an acknowledgement that there might be instances, for example, if a vehicle is towed there after hours, that it could stay there that evening, but if it's going to continue to be worked on, it has to be stored indoors the next evening. Again, with recognition, and Ms. Abernathy, I just realized this as I was thinking through this driving over, that if a vehicle were dropped off on a Saturday evening, recognizing my clients aren't open on Sunday, that would be an instance where it would be housed until Monday morning. So that would be one addition I would want to make into the use commitment. Other than that, we're here to entertain any questions.
Will any vehicles be brought in by flatbed?
Periodically, yes.
Yeah, but where would it be unloaded? In your?
It would be unloaded, and then it would be once.
I mean, in your parking lot?
Yes. It
Not
would
on the street?
be- No, no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay.
And this, for the commission's edification, is very similar to, I had another client in Schererville around Christmas time. It was a very similar request that Schererville had requested as well, and very similar use commitment that was expected. So this is something that I have seen in other municipalities.
Okay. Don, do you have anything?
No, we're good with it.
Seems good, okay. Building department.
I have reviewed the use commitment from my end and got it back to him and got him my comments. I did receive comments this afternoon from Mr. Austin. He's got some more extensive comments than I have at this time. Mainly, one of the comments was, you don't have listed out what variances were received. Those need to kind of be built in there, so there's some language that needs to be worked on additionally in there. I don't know if you've seen Dave's
I haven't
review yet or
seen it.
not.
Yeah, I didn't see
Okay,
it.
I'll communicate with him so we can get that to you. But from a building standpoint, they've gotten all variances, they got their extensions at the June BZA meeting for both June and August BZA variances that they received last year. At this point in time, my only comment is working with the town attorney and Mr. Vick here through that use commitment item.
So it's just language is what we're looking at?
Dave's got some comments on the language that need to be worked through.
Is that for more the site plan, or is that more for preliminary?
The use of the property.
Okay.
Does it apply to both, or just one?
I mean, it's probably more applicable in this instance to the plating of it, than it is site plan, but, you know, they're sort of contingent upon one another.
You familiar with that?
Yeah, but I've seen Dave's comments. I obviously haven't been involved in this process from the get-go.
Right.
I'm just the one that gets to be lucky enough to be here tonight.
Okay.
But I mean, there's a good amount of things that need to be changed. Is it anything that's insurmountable? I don't think so. But, you know, the issue is, at least as I understand it, I think these were talked about maybe last month is when there was some discussion by Mr. Parker. Was it last month, Craig? Do you remember?
Yeah, there was some public comment too.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was then in the work study, but I know that Nate sent it over, I believe, Monday evening, which just shrunk the time frame to sort of get all this stuff turned around, you know, to try and iron these details out before we're here tonight at, 7 p.m. So, you know, if there were to be an approval motion, we would want it contingent upon the final checkoff on the commitment. Alternatively, you know, it's never a bad thing, at least from our perspective, to defer matters until everything's taken care of. So that's kind of the two parallel paths that we see facing the board tonight.
It's the responsible thing to do in my view.
It wouldn't be uncommon.
I guess to the commission, number one is I believe it was sent over last week for review and comment. But on top top of that, I guess my question would be is what are the hurdles that we are looking at respectfully? If we're adding in language, that's what the variances are, that's already been approved, that's a simple addition. But beyond that, does anyone have a copy of what the comments were that we could see? Because I have not received them.
Not physically on me. I received it this afternoon in an email.
Okay.
Would you be okay with contingencies to keep the ball rolling, since we've delayed quite a long time already?
I would think that's appropriate, just subject to continuing legal review, because I think there's a great deal of trust between my office and Mr. Austin's office to continue this forward, something that we've done on other projects, and will still be before you for a final hearing. And my client has already expressed on the record, candidly, he's already signed the proposal that we had already sent to the town. There was a great commitment on behalf of my client to meet the needs that Mr. Parker and others have shared.
Okay. And Ashley, you called those use commitments?
Correct.
For this item.
We've done them a couple of times. Our most recent one was with the brace room that's now up on Wicker, also penned by Mr. Vick, and then another similar automotive one on 133rd for Precision Auto.
Gotcha.
I guess just for clarity for the record, the email that I was handed, again, I'm not involved in this, I just get Dave's, was from Nate to Ashley, Chris, and Dave, was Monday at 9:47 in the morning, including the attached proposed use commitment. Again, I mean, we're splitting hairs if it's Friday or if it's Monday. Right? It doesn't really matter. It's just, there's just a few days to get things turned around. So that's the situation that we face.
Got it.
All right, and seeing as how the public hearing is still open, I'm gonna call for remonstrators. We're going further, so take a seat, please. Are there any remonstrators here for or against this request? Any remonstrators for or against this request?
Still nobody online either.
Nobody online? All right, I'm going to keep the public hearing portion open still. And then we'll move on. You can step back up, please. Now, I think Greg's going to make a motion to defer this, that'll be both items will be deferred.
And until we have legal review, I think that's a responsible thing to do.
Okay, so if you got a motion, go ahead and make one, Greg.
I make the motion to defer this item to the next public meeting.
Before we do that, Mr. Chairman, we didn't really go through commissioners' discussions?
Sorry.
Other than earlier?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So if we defer it, it's administerial because we already given the variances at the BZA, and it just wastes a month of opportunity for people to break ground, get rolling, and make that corridor what it's destined to be. And so, to me, a lot of these paperwork items being contingent shouldn't be a big issue, Mr. Chairman. So that's all I got, sir.
Theoretically, if you do approve the preliminary plat tonight, they could begin the groundbreaking of doing the groundwork, but nothing could go vertical. They could not pull any building permits, anything like that, and with the site plan until final plat is done here. And that filing deadline for the August meeting is July 7th. So if theoretically, whichever motion you guys make tonight, whether deferral, approval, that's your decision. At earliest, final plat wouldn't be looked at until at least August.
I guess just from a legal standpoint, the question is one of policy, right? It's how you guys want to approach these things. Do you want to sort of say, hey, we're going to approve it and catch the paperwork up on the back end, or as Greg indicated before, do you want everything done on the front end so they come in, they're prepared, they got everything in order, and then go forward from there? It's purely policy for you guys to make that call, but it's a reasonable condition attached to this and something that they've, my understanding is they've agreed to commit to. It's a matter of getting that commitment in paper and hashing out the language for it.
So you said August, Ashley?
Would be the earliest that final plat could appear for you because the filing deadline for the August meetings are July 7th.
Right, so that would be August 20th for an actual meeting.
It would be August 2nd for work session and 16th for the public meeting.
Yeah. So
And that's regardless if it's deferred or not tonight?
If it's deferred tonight, and it's not, the plat isn't acted upon until the July meeting,
Then it's September.
then the August 4th is the filing deadline for the September meetings, and that would be September 6th and September 20th. Because well, we have in the past accepted final plat prior to preliminary plat. It's not
not common.
common.
Usually preliminary goes first.
It's preferred that preliminary is done first.
I just think
It's
it burn 8 weeks.
supposed to be a minimum of 30 days between
Not
preliminary and
really, it's not
final.
really, though.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
candidly to this commission, and respectfully to legal, the time to apply a use commitment by which the board should apportion it to the use would have been at the time that the variances were granted. That would have been the appropriate time. What's happening this evening is in response now to questions raised after the fact. My client is voluntarily addressing a use issue. So my strong recommendation to the Plan Commission is to say what my client is willing to do is not really tied to the preliminary plat, which deals with engineering. The use issue has already been addressed over a year ago with the variances that were granted and the approval for the use. So to tie this use covenant that my client is voluntarily entering into at this stage to the engineering of the preliminary plat, it's candidly a voluntary effort on behalf of my client. I've been before this commission quite a bit in the last year, and it's been very much the policy that I've seen that we do tie just general legal review to items to continue to push them forward. If we're delayed this evening, that candidly pushes my client into the fall and winter for development. It's a significant setback to a project that has been significantly set back already in this matter due to the moratorium that was put in place.
If this project doesn't meet the minimum requirements that is the law of the town, the ordinance. So, and I'm not sure that a hardship was proven if anything was granted at the BZA. That was before my time. But the long and the short of it for me is, we've told other citizens of this town that own similar properties what they have to do to develop those properties. This one is being expected to be developed against what was told to those other citizens. And I'm not comfortable without Dave's review of all the language that is necessary to get an approval for this. So, but I'm one person.
No, I respect that. Does someone have a copy of Dave's comments that I can see?
I guess just for the record, I think, and I could be wrong because I don't sit at the BZA meetings, as Don just pointed out, that everything is sort of contingent upon one another in this case, right? The variance approvals are contingent upon the Plan Commission check off, and obviously you guys are going to check off only if everything else is in order. So all of those things need to sort of fall in a row in order for the approvals to be given.
That's what I think.
Well, this has been,
Nathan?
this has been,
Vetted for a long time.
yeah, well, this has been an up and down situation here for a while.
Yeah.
And I really prefer to have everything done prior to giving approvals, or bringing it to a vote, whether it be an approval or not.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I've been subject to Mr. Austin's red pen, which is okay. Sometimes it's humbling, other times it's just the difference of language. And I'm looking at his proposed red line changes here. There is proposed changes of words. There is a request to add in the 4 variances that were granted, which nothing changes there. But in terms of the guts of the overnight use of space, I'm not seeing.
But you agree to do that?
Yeah, there's no significant
There's
change
nothing there,
that I would
Nathan?
say on the record.
You don't see anything there, Nathan?
No,
You see the box that says needs all details of restrictions?
right.
Okay, I would argue that that's more significant, right? The whole point of this is a use restriction. as I understand, it, right, by its own title.
But I don't
So
know
if the idea is to outline what exactly the restriction is that they're committing to, understandably, you know, whether it's overnight parking or whatever, those guts are the most important guts. Now, I agree with Nate that, you know, some of the other stuff is easy, right? You can say the variance was X, Y, and Z, but the guts of the use restriction need to be what uses are going to be restricted and what those conditions are.
But that's
And it
what
appears that some of that's lacking.
it says needs all details of restrictions. I'm unclear as to what he's referencing because we did put the use restriction in there, which is the use of the space for overnight parking, which is what the concern was raised on the record in the last two meetings.
And again, since they've been here, we've now got a culvert breaking ground, we've now got a cemetery close to breaking ground, and delaying it did they break ground?
No, they're gonna break ground Monday, they had a groundbreaking.
Oh, that's what I mean, but like moving dirt, et cetera, and 8 weeks at the earliest by semantics. It seems like a big delay.
I think what he's referencing there is section B of the proposed use commitment says, there may be instances where vehicles are towed or dropped off at applicant's location. That's what it appears he's referencing there, and I can add in parentheses and work with Dave that it deals with drops off after hours, towed vehicles, things of that nature.
Right, we have a motion on the floor, so I disagree with the motion. I think we should try to help these gentlemen out and grow our business district, but we have a motion.
We have a motion on the floor to defer this, request until next month. There's a motion made by Mr. Parker. Is there a second on this? Is there a second? Seeing none, motion fails.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion for a preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision approval based on contingent on use commitments worked out between legal as well as the building department.
Have a motion by Mr. Foreman to approve the preliminary plat based on the contingencies he mentioned,
Legal and building department
legal and building department.
approvals.
Approval, yes, thank you. Do we have a second? We have a second?
It's the right thing to do.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Carnahan.
We'll see where it goes.
Any discussion on the motion?
No, sir?
Roll call.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes?
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
No.
Mr. Capura?
No. Motion carries 4-2.
And that was just for the, Mr. Chairman, that was just for the preliminary plat.
Right. Now, we have, site plan. Do we have any discussion on the site plan by commissioners or anybody?
I think it's been vetted over the last months. I don't have anything, sir.
Seeing no discussion, and I'll entertain a motion on,
I'd like to make a motion for approval of site plan on this NYBY Development Corp. Again, I would like to make a contingent on use commitments between legal and the building department.
Mr. Foreman made a motion to approve the site plan contingent upon legals and building approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hundley.
And for the site plan, I would also like to include in my motion, Mr. Hunley and Mr. Chairman, the Christopher Burke engineering letter, August 15th, 2022.
Jim?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
No.
Mr. Capora?
No. Motion carries 4-2.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Nathan, I'll coordinate with you and Dave to get a teleconference scheduled between the three of us to work through that youth commitment.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Number 3, Cedar Lake Storage Extension of Performance Letter of Credit.
The Cedar Lake Storage submitted a letter of credit for the performance for the public improvements, the sidewalks, that's in the amount of $7,700. It was approved at the town council last night just due to how the expiration deadline of it fell of July 1st. The next town council wouldn't have been until mid-July, so in order to make sure it didn't expire, it was in front of them last night. So at this point in time, it's just looking for an approval for it to extend to July 1st of 2024.
Motion to have Cedar Lake Storage extension of performance letter of credit in the amount of $7,700.
To July 1st, 2024.
Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan to extend the letter of credit to July 1st, 2024. Second, please.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Hunley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Update items. 133rd Commercial Corridor Overlay District.
So, in conjunction with the discussion at the work session, I have begun researching a couple potential different architectural forms, basics, that you might potentially look at. At the work session, I will have something for you to look at to determine which ones you would prefer looking at and potentially going after for that area. And if that's the case, once you decide which one, I can then begin researching that specific one further and working with Dave to create the language needed for any ordinance for that overlay.
Okay, so you have something for us to look at on
At the work
Work
session,
session.
yep.
okay.
And again, I think after our last work session, we vetted this and said, do we even need it? Should we go forward? And I think the consensus was, yes, let's keep it rocking and rolling. And this goes beyond 41, correct?
This is,
The west side of 41 as well? Or does
Not
it
the west
does
side.
it stop at 41?
41 the parish.
Yes.
So if something happened on the corner of 133rd and 41, it would be applicable to this?
Probably, I mean, northeast and southeast corner.
Right, because everything else is pre-built out, so.
Right. So it's just, we're at this point in time looking at what type of potential architectural forms. If there's any type that you would like me to look at, please send me an email, let me know. That way I can do some research on it and have that in that presentation to discuss with you guys at your work session.
So let me ask you a hypothetical. I know this isn't a work session, and I'll make it quick, Mr. Chairman. If you are thinking in your brain how you're thinking in Chris in the building department, would you say that this automotive shop, Culver's, and the Centier Bank would fit into what our standard can or should be? And maybe what we should think about, if that's a yes, maybe what we should think about is, do we incorporate one of their facades or one of their
Already
something
on it.
that match for consistencies? Because there's only a little bit more up by Holy Name School. There's a few houses, but again, I'm not a big fan of changing people's zoning. I know our zone ordinance changed to larger lots, but if a person is next to another person with a B3.
Why don't you just throw the zoning
I
ordinance
think
out?
then, if a person's next to another person with two B3s, like we talked about a couple work sessions ago, and then they make a lot that's bigger than our 40,000 that we need,
You could repeal
then I
it.
think that makes sense. You know what I mean?
What about
Yeah,
repealing it?
I'm talking, Greg, but please, I'm still talking. Be
I'm just
respectful.
making a suggestion, how about repealing the whole thing?
This is only applying, and it's only applicable to 133rd overlay district, and I'm just wondering, with the new things that have occurred here in the last month with some new buildings,
Do we need to really change the zoning on
I
that corridor? If they don't make 30,000 square feet, they can't make the street.
Okay, and I think what we need to do is to talk about this at
Work
the
session.
work session,
Fair enough.
I would
not
agree.
here now.
I would agree.
I agree.
Great.
You know, because I've got some questions too, and this is not the proper place to bring it up. We can do it at the work session where we can get into it deeper.
All I'm saying, instead of making the rules on a case-by-case basis, the
Right.
council has the ability and the power to repeal the zoning ordinance if they feel like they made a mistake.
No, we don't think that.
Well,
I
we're still
don't.
going on a case-by-case basis.
No, we're not.
All right,
This was in under the radar.
This will be discussed at the work session. I don't want to carry this on any
Fair enough.
further right now.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President, if I may just one quick comment.
Yes.
To answer your question, I have been looking at the 133rd corridor to make sure that I'm incorporating or looking at elements that are already existing, including what is being proposed being built. So that is something that I am looking at with the research that I'm doing.
Thank you, Ashley. And that'll be listed as updates.
It will still be an update item
All
as,
right, put it last.
absolutely.
Trying to wear everybody out?
Carrying on. Building regulations and fee amendments being reviewed.
Still being reviewed. It's taken a little bit of a backseat as I've been researching other items at this time. I will try and have an update from Craig.
Okay. Beacon Point East, Unit 2, Performance Letter of Credit, July 28, 2023, expiration date.
I'll take 3 and 4 together. I know they're working on it. Jack Slicker called me later last week to address a hydrant issue, so I know they're working on it, but that deadline's coming quick. So we'll likely have to make a decision at the July meeting.
Okay. In July, or?
Yeah, the Unit 2 expires July 28th.
Yeah, and then we're gonna meet July 20th, or?
It was July 5th first.
Yeah, July 5th and then the 19th, which gives us enough time to pull. So if we need to take
19th.
action on it, we can do it on the 19th.
Okay. Beacon Point, Unit 1A, maintenance letter of credit expires August 5th, 2023.
They have our punch list items, our letter, as well as Public Works items as well, so it's my impression that they're working on that, and it's kind of the same thing, we'll monitor it and have another report for you in July.
Okay, Beacon Point, Unit 2, maintenance letter of credit expires August 6th, 2023.
That one's most likely gonna have to be extended. We have our punch list done, but we haven't received any kind of as-built for that phase. They haven't requested Public Works inspections either, so the chances of that getting totally done and moved on from August 22nd is slim to none. They'll likely have to extend in some form, whether it's reduced or not.
Okay.
It's up to them.
Okay, then number 7, Rose Garden Estates, Unit 3, performance letter of credit expires August 22nd, 2023.
That was that one.
Pardon?
That was the one I just talked about.
Oh.
Yeah. We're good.
Rose Garden?
Yep.
Where was I? Who has more fun, huh?
I love it.
This is why you come, right? Okay, that's the end of the update. Public comments. Any public comment?
Sharon Parker, 7227 West 136th Court. We live just south of a home that's in construction. It was red tagged, I believe, and there are numerous problems with it, one of which was the height. They never, my understanding is they never acquired a variance for the height. However, they're still working on it. I saw electricians, I saw the concrete guys, they're still working on it, they're putting windows in it. The owner is the GC, so that could be a problem. But my question is, what is the status on this, and how are you enforcing this? Why are they still building?
What's your address again, so we can look at it?
7212 West 136th Place is the location of the building.
Ms.
Taliano is the homeowner.
Mr. President, if I may. So the red tag that was placed on there was not in any type of correlation with the height.
Okay.
That was for a completely separate matter that the homeowner has addressed and
The construction driveway
Yes,
and other
they fixed that part.
Yes, they did.
They've been advised that they need the variance, they have applied for the variance, that you will see them at your
Okay.
next month's
Yeah,
APA.
that's why I was.
For the height?
Okay.
For the height, and they were advised to, if they wanted to proceed, they could proceed with caution.
Okay.
They were advised.
So they're still progressing with the construction. They're putting in windows on the second floor. How does that affect them getting the variance if it doesn't pass? Or do you just have to wait and see if they'll pass
That is why
it?
they were told to proceed with caution.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment?
Aye.
Any other public comment? Nothing online?
No, please.
I do have a minor error on the bottom of the agenda. I typed public meeting for our next meeting. It is actually a work session.
Uh-oh.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioner comments?
No, sir. Not for mine.
Drop the hammer?
Drop it.
Good.